What I am now going to relate is the history of the next 2 centuries. I shall describe what will happen, what must necessarily happen, the triumph of nihilism. This history can be written already, for necessity itself is at work in bringing it about. This future is already proclaimed by 100 different omens. As a destiny, it announces its advent everywhere. For this music of tomorrow, all ears are already pricked. The whole of our culture in Europe has long been writhing in an agony of suspense, which increases from decade to decade, as if in expectation of a catastrophe. Restless, violent, helter-skelter, like a torrent that will reach its bourne, and refuses to reflect, yea, that even dreads reflection. On the other hand, the present writer has done little else hitherto than reflect and meditate, like an instinctive philosopher and anchorite who found his advantage in isolation, in remaining outside, in patience, procrastination, and lagging behind. Like a weighing and testing spirit who has already lost his way in every labyrinth of the future. Like a prophetic bird spirit that looks backwards when it would announce what is to come. Like the first perfect European nihilist, who, however, has already outlived nihilism in his own soul, who has outgrown, overcome, and dismissed it. For the reader must not misunderstand the meaning of the title which has been given to this evangel of the future. The will to power, an attempted transvaluation of all values. With this formula, a counter-movement finds expression, in regard to both a principle and a mission. A movement which in some remote future will supersede this perfect nihilism, but which nevertheless regards it as a necessary step, both logically and psychologically, towards its own advent, and which positively cannot come except on top of and out of it. For why is the triumph of nihilism inevitable now? Because the very values current amongst us today will arrive at their logical conclusion in nihilism. Because nihilism is the only possible outcome of our greatest values and ideals. Because we must first experience nihilism before we can realize what the actual worth of these values was. Sooner or later, we shall be in need of new values. European nihilism. Nihilism is at our door. Whence comes this most gruesome of all guests to us? To begin with, it is a mistake to point to social evils, physiological degeneration, or even to corruption as a cause of nihilism. This is the most straightforward and most sympathetic age that ever was. Evil, whether spiritual, physical, or intellectual, is in itself quite unable to introduce nihilism, i.e., the absolute repudiation of worth, purpose, desirability. These evils allow of yet other and quite different explanations, but there is one very definite explanation of the phenomena. Nihilism harbors in the heart of Christian morals.